here. Okay, so you guys, welcome to our Team Fit Foundation weekly team call. It is Wednesday, September 18th, and I am so freaking excited, not only for tonight's topic, but for our girl, the girl that is speaking tonight, Miss Cassie. Cassie is a really great friend of mine. I've known her, I met her through coaching. She's actually been a coach for 3.5 years. This month is actually like her half birthday coach anniversary kind of thing. So exactly 3.5 years as of this month, which is super cool. Cassie, if you don't know her, I highly recommend finding her on Instagram. She's so cute. She is super fiery and saucy and just has a lot of real talk and dance parties. And she is just like a firecracker in my life. So I know she's just gonna bring the freaking heat tonight. Something that's really specifically cool about what Cassie's talking about tonight is obviously about building consistency, which we know is so important in this business. But specifically what I love about Cassie is this girl is just a freaking hustler. She works so hard. She really kind of pours her heart and puts a lot into this business, and she shows up consistently every single day. But on top of that, she works a full-time job. So this girl works 40 plus hours. She's not building her business while she's at work. So she's such a great example for you guys to kind of hear from and how she has built such a successful business by showing up for these last 3.5 years, truly in the cracks of time. So with that, I'm going to pass it right on over to you, Cassie, and we'll kick things off. If you guys do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Obviously, Cassie, if you see them, answer them on the fly. Otherwise, I'll collect them as we go. And if we have time at the end, we'll get those answered. So, all right, girl, I'm going to switch it over to you. I'm going to unmute you. And I think, oh, there you go. Oh, there we go. Are you good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, let's do this.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm actually going to ignore the chat because I can't look at it, so you can collect any questions.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so also I'm going to give a really fast disclaimer. This has never happened when I've hosted, but for some reason Zoom and my Wi-Fi are like mortal enemies, and sometimes it kicks me off for like 5 seconds and then I'll be right back. If that happens, talk amongst yourselves. Fingers crossed. It's never happened when I'm actually hosting a call. But all that to say, I'm super, super excited to be here tonight. I'm super excited to be talking to you guys about consistency. And I've actually done a decent amount of calls, but this is a little bit different because normally I have like pretty good notes going in. And tonight I was just like, I feel like this is the kind of topic I'm just gonna start talking on. And I've got like literally two sticky notes with like a couple. Hopefully I stay in like an arch of conversation that I'm hoping to be in, but we're just going to start talking. We're going to see what comes out. Hopefully it's good. And here we go. But for those of you that don't know me, obviously my name is Cassie. And like Jackie said, I've been a coach for 3.5 years this month, which is literally insanity. Like I feel like I just started, like I don't even understand how it's possible. But apparently time goes by whether we're ready for it or not. So it's been 3.5 years and it's been such a fun journey. And I'm not going to go like super hardcore into like me as a person, my backstory. Can follow me on Instagram. I probably talk about everything that's important to me, but I do want to talk about kind of how I got started in this business because I think in some ways it was a little bit abnormal, and then kind of like how I took off with this really laid a foundation for consistency that I was not intending to do that served me really well. And I'm hoping that maybe if I share that for all the new coaches on here, that might inspire you to do some things that worked really well for me. And if you're not a newer coach and you're kind of trying to come back or get restarted in this business, rebuild that consistency, that it gives you some good ideas for trajectory moving forward. So how I got started in this business was kind of accidental. So I did not know anybody before, randomly got connected with Keisha on Instagram. I started my very first challenge group with her in January of 2016. So almost 4 years ago. And my mind was literally blown. I had done T25 and Insanity before, the only things in life that had ever given me results. So I knew the programs work, but I'd never worked with a coach. I never did a challenge group, never did anything. So I joined a challenge group, like world rocked, mind blown. I felt so good. I was so pumped about it. And I did 2 more with her. And then it was like end of February, beginning of March. And Keisha was like, have you thought about coaching? You'd be so good at this. And I was like, crap. Like, I knew she was going to ask me that. And I was like, didn't want her to, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know if I'm cut out with this. I should just be a participant. I really love these challenge groups. Like, maybe I can just keep doing what I'm doing. And then I just kept coming back to this like gut feeling of like, you would be so like mean and selfish not to pay this thing forward. Like, you can't shut up about it in real life. You're so passionate about this. Like, you love it so much. You believe in it. Look how different you are now than you were 3 months ago. Like, you owe it to yourself and other people in your life to at least pay this forward. And so I decided to sign up. And I feel like oftentimes people have some kind of an idea of what coaching is going to be for them. when they sign up. And I honestly was somebody who like did not at all. I literally was just like, I love this and I want to pay it forward. I wasn't like, I'm only doing this for the discount, but I wasn't like, I'm going to build a business. I'm going to leave my job. I really just didn't know. I just knew that I loved this. I was really passionate about it. I was excited about it. And so I decided to jump in. And I literally kind of hit the ground running and accidentally laid this like really solid foundation that I didn't realize I was doing. So back in the day, our welcome emails had 3 videos that totaled like 30 minutes. And we talked about basic stuff and basically like the action items were like, when are you running your first challenge group? Go Emerald, hit Success Club, and announce that you're a coach on social media. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just do those things. So I announced I was a coach on social media. It was like the worst post ever, you guys. I went back and found it. Nothing that I would say today, but you could feel my excitement and my passion for it. It was oozing out of me. So I did that. I picked a date for my first challenge group. I hit Success Club 10 my first month, just off like people in my warm market, my real world that could see that I was really excited about something. I was talking about something. And I went Emerald with during my first challenge group, people that were in my challenge group. And so I kind of just did all these things that are a really solid way to start your business, which is why we tell you guys to start your business like that. But I wasn't intending to start a business. I just knew I'm really excited about this. Here's somebody, Keisha, who is my upline, my mentor, who's teaching me what to do. And she's saying like, this is how to start. And I just knew that I wanted to help people like she had helped me. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do what she says. Obviously it's possible because she's done it. And so I did those things. I hit Success Club my first month. And then I got an email that said, congratulations on hitting Success Club your first month. If you do it for 2 more months, you get a free ticket to Summit. I had never been to Summit before. I really had no idea, but I was like, that's really cool. Free ticket to Summit. That sounds like a lot of fun. I want to go to Nashville. So I was like, I've hit Success Club once, I can hit it 2 more times. The idea of it was just really simple. I was like, I get 50 people to sign up for this because it's so great. Who wouldn't want in on this? Like, come on, that's not a hard task at all. So I hit Success Club, 3 months, got my free ticket to Summit that I actually ended up using the next year. And then I realized like, I'm getting in a flow here. This is like a lot of fun. It's such a joy to like pay this thing forward. I should just keep doing this. And I just remembered what Keisha had said about how she had hit Success Club every month in her business and how that was a really good way to lay a foundation for whatever you wanted this to be. And I still didn't really know what I wanted it to be, but I knew like, I don't want to, like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it. And so I committed to hitting Success Club every month in my business. Well, that lasted for the first 5 months. And honestly, it was pretty easy for those first 5 months because I was talking about it so much. I was so excited. I was really taking advantage of my warm market. And I was putting in the work. I was showing up. I was talking to people. But it was not hard for me to hit Success Club in those months because it's excitement and warm market. And honestly, for most people, when you start, if you are being authentically yourself and you're talking about it and you have that passion for it, most of you probably have experienced the same thing. Month 6 happened and I expected it was just going to be kind of as easy as it had been and found out that it wasn't. That was kind of when that shift of like, you have to start changing the game a little bit and like changing your strategy. All that to say, I did not hit Success Club. In month 6, I was devastated. I was so upset. I'd promised myself I was going to hit Success Club every month. And then I learned the hard way that you can't actually expect that it's always just going to come to you. You actually have to be proactive and you have to put in the work and you have to be consistent. So that was a hard loss. Missed it. Swore I would never miss it again. And since September of 2016, I have not missed it again. And I talk about that because I actually, it's like funny Success Club feels like it's kind of like a trivial thing. And like, I think sometimes when we talk about it, it gets put in this class, like this weird classification that it really doesn't need to. But like, honestly, you guys, you want to know the secret to consistency in my business is literally committing to hitting Success Club every single month. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of Success Club, like how it happens and what and why. Like there's team calls on that. People have slayed it. That's not really my style. I just want to like hammer in some like mindset stuff, why it makes sense for everybody, why you don't have to be a certain kind of coach. You don't have to have a certain goal in this business for that to make sense, why it's so smart. And every single person on this call or listening to the recording should really commit to doing that because it just sets you up for success. Now, one thing I want to say, because it's really easy when you're watching somebody do a training who's been doing this longer than you have or whose trajectory at all looks different or more successful, whatever you define success as. Like, literally nothing about me is like, I'm not a unicorn. I mean, like my friends would say I am because they're like really sweet, but like there's nothing, I don't have anything that any of you guys don't have. I'm not the highest earner. I don't do this full time. I don't make six figures. I'm not the highest Success Club point earner. I'm not the highest volume earner. I'm not the highest, like I don't rank advanced all the time. Like there is nothing like special. There's nothing set apart about somebody who consistently shows up for their business like this. Like it's just somebody who's doing it. And I think oftentimes we see people who are at the top of the Success Club board or like who are, you know, what we would say like super successful in this business, doing it full time or making a lot of money or Success Club 75 billion or whatever. And you're like, oh, well, that's them. And I'm not like that, right? Like maybe I have a different goal or, I just realized my light is like flickering. Sorry guys. Maybe I have a different goal. That's not what I want. And so you kind of put yourself in a different classification and say like, oh, well, that's hitting Success Club every month is for coaches like that. And I'm not a coach like that. And so you kind of like discount yourself of why it matters and why it's important. And so first, I just want to say, stop doing that because every coach who's ever hit Success Club for 10 years straight or 2 years or 3 years or 18 months or however long had a first month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Like we all started before we were the coach that we are however many months or years down the line. And so first thing I want to like hammer in is like, get that out of your brain that you have to be a certain kind of coach or have a certain kind of goal for this to make sense. Because literally whatever goal you have for this business, whether that's big, small, part-time, full-time, impact, fulfillment, extra income for fun things, extra income for necessary things, like whatever your goals are, consistency is literally what will get you to that place. And it's what keeps you in it because that is what gives you the results that you want, whatever those results are. And here's the thing, when we're not consistent, this business doesn't work. And when this business doesn't work, it's not fun and we feel like we can't do it. And who wants to stay in a place where you feel like you can't do it? That doesn't feel good. It feels really discouraging. And so you throw in the towel and quit. And what I really want to like hammer in with you guys, because I've seen it happen so many times and it just literally, it like kills my soul on the inside. Like I've watched this happen with coaches just on the team. I watched this happen with my own downline coaches. You get really excited and maybe you have like a burst of action right when you start. Or if it's a coach that's done the whole like, you know, stick shift car thing, you're really excited and you have like a little bit of action and then you get discouraged because it's not happening really quickly because things don't happen really quickly. They happen with consistency over time. You get discouraged. You feel like you can't do it. And then you decide to throw in the towel and say, this doesn't work. Well, if you weren't being consistent, it's not that this doesn't work, it's that you didn't work, right? And so it is a little bit of a different conversation whether or not you're a brand new coach versus like a tenured coach who's trying to come back or figure out a new routine, recover from like the start and stop thing. But at the end of the day, consistency in this business and all you need to hit Success Club, all you need to be one of the coaches that consistently shows up every month, it's literally 3 things. Are you doing it? Are you talking about doing it? And are you inviting other people to do it with you? That's literally the equation for Success Club. That's the equation for this business. That's the equation for success. That's the equation for everything. And here's the thing. You kind of have I feel like there's 2 pieces of this puzzle where you have to actually be doing those things consistently. But sometimes there is like something going on. Like you need to pop the hood sometimes, right? So like sometimes you're doing the stuff and the results aren't coming. And so at that point, you'll never know if something's, beneath the hood is going on that you need to analyze if you're not being consistent. Because if you're doing all of those 3 things, you're showing up for yourself, you're talking about showing up for yourself, and you're inviting other people to show up for themselves, you will find as you consistently do that over time that the results start to happen in this business, right? You're having fun, you're making an impact, your team is going to grow, your income is going to grow, the Success Club points will be there, the following on social media will be there. That's why that's the equation of this business. It's because that's what works. But if you're not doing that consistently, it's not going to be working, but you're never going to know, is it not working because I'm not doing the work, or is it not working because there's something wrong? There's something like one of those pieces needs to be looked at, right? Because maybe you are doing all of those things, but maybe your voice on social media is not authentically you. Maybe you're not sounding like you, or maybe you're only talking about really surface level things. Or maybe you're not actually showing up super well in your own journey. Maybe you're being really willy-nilly about it. maybe you are not taking it super seriously, and maybe your audience is seeing that. So maybe the problem is what's going on in your own journey. Or maybe it's when you are inviting other people to do it, something's wrong with the verbiage. You're not asking enough questions. You're not sounding like you. It sounds like a business transaction. But if you're not consistently doing those things anyway, you're never going to know, is there something going on that we need to address? Or am I just like not showing up enough? And I feel like there's a couple different things based like whether or not you are a brand new coach or a tenured coach who's kind of trying to come back from this that I would like recommend. But first, I just want to say, sorry, I got a little bit distracted because my sticky notes fell. I want to say like I'm not a recognition person, and I don't like hanging hat or like telling other people to hang their hat on a title because I don't think the title is important. But when you have something like Success Club that you consistently do, when you hit Success Club for 12 months straight, you're what Beachbody calls a Success Club All-Star. And when you hit Success Club for 2 years straight, you're what they call a Success Club All-Star Legend. And then after 2 years, you just maintain that status of All-Star Legend, and the number of months you've been in it increases. And this really interesting thing happens where that even if you're not like a really recognition-based person, it gives you something tangible that's outside of yourself that you can like tack your work to. Basically, sorry, back up. When you're an entrepreneur in this business, you're not going to get fired. You're not ever going to get in trouble if you don't show up for what you need to show up for, right? Which is why we've all had weeks where it's like, oh, I'm going to send 20 invites this week and I didn't, so I'll just do an extra 20 next week. We can always roll tasks over in our head. And we can always push it off because we're never going to get in trouble. Success Club is literally the one thing that you can tack your business to that has some kind of, I don't like the word consequence, but some kind of consequence associated with it, something that's outside of yourself that you either are going to show up for or you're not, because the month starts on the 1st and it ends on the 30th or 31st at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you don't show up the way you need to show up in that time, then you didn't hit Success Club, and that like you don't get to just push that off. And so there's actually something really powerful and really helpful about tacking this business to something that's outside of yourself that you don't have control over, because it makes you show up when you don't want to show up, because we literally will all have times when we don't want to show up, and life is going to happen for all of us. I've been really consistent in this business, but my amount of activity that I do, my life, like it's all been in seasons, right? There's months where we hustle a lot harder. There's months where we put a lot more work in. There's months where we're in a mode where we're pushing for a goal. And then there's months where we're more in maintenance mode. And I will tell you, obviously I've had those months. I'm honestly in a season right now where I'm not in a hustle season right now. But my business still continues because people say like, well, what's the minimum amount of invites I should do in a month? What's the minimum number of follows I should do? What's the minimum number of posts? What's the minimum whatever? Because everyone wants to know, like, what's the bare minimum that I need to do? The bare minimum that I need to do is whatever I need to do to hit Success Club, right? And so when you have something that you can tack that's outside of yourself, that makes you show up, that makes you never have a full stop, that makes you never have to recover from a full stop, that's literally the best thing you can do in a business like this, because it's the only thing that we have that's outside of ourselves. And some people are driven by different things. Some people won't struggle with that as much, but I've seen it happen so often, and probably people can attest to this in the chat. Even the most driven people who are really motivated by themselves, you're gonna have those times where you just want to push it off. You don't want to show up. It's not convenient to you. And if you don't have anything that's outside of your own brain that will make you show up, it's really easy to not. And actually, I've never had to recover from a full stop. My business has never been a stick shift car, but there's people on this call who have experienced that, who have stopped, who have had to come back from it. And I bet those people can drop in the chat and tell you that I bet Success Club had a correlation with when their business did a start and stop. Especially, I know there's people on this call, and I have friends who were in this business that aren't in it anymore, who were at one point really consistent with Success Club, and then they dropped All-Star or they dropped Legend. And those people can tell you how hard it was to come back from that loss and find that consistency again, because it feels like a tangible thing when it is actually a non-negotiable that you do every single month. And when you don't have that anymore, it feels really nilly, and it takes it away from being outside yourself, and it kind of puts the buck back on you. and it's up to your own, it's this thing where it was a non-negotiable, and then you missed it. And so now I don't have anything to hold on to anymore. And so now it's just when I feel like it. And then it becomes, it's not a big deal if I miss it again, or what's 1 month, what's 2, what's 3. And I would just encourage you guys, like, I'm not somebody who like focuses on titles, because titles, I don't think that matters, but like, I think it's really wise to like tack your business to something that's outside of your control a little bit, in terms of like, you're either going to hit this or you're not, because it's the only thing like that we have. And I think there's a reason why Beachbody gives it to us, because like, that is the measure of whether or not you're showing up. But it's the one thing that is going to happen or not happen completely outside of our control, in terms of like, you're either going to show up and you're going to make it happen, or you're not. And if it doesn't, you've missed your chance for that month, right? Like, we can always start again. But I've seen this trend in the team and in my own downline, where it seems like this like consistency piece is lacking. And I really think it just comes back to, it's the mindset of like, of this otherness that I think we put on coaches who do show up for their businesses like this consistently. And the one thing that I really wanted to hammer in is that like, there's nothing other about it. It's, are you showing up for your business, or are you not? And I feel like one thing that we really need to remember is that like, you don't have to have big goals in order for it to make sense for you to show up consistently for this, because some people are for this for a time and some people are for this forever. But whether or not you're for this for a time or you're here forever, there are things that you are meant to get out of this. There are people that you're meant to serve, and there are lives that you're meant to change, and there's lessons that you're meant to learn here, and there's friendships that you're meant to make here. And like, incredible things can happen in a business like this, in a team like this. And if you don't show up consistently, if you're not putting those building blocks in to get out those amazing things that you can get out, so many people throw in the towel before they should, before their time is, because they feel like they're not working. And sporadic work doesn't make a business like this work. Consistent work makes a business like this work. And it just pains me so much to see so many people not come into their potential, feel like they can't do it, feel like the business doesn't work, feel like they're not cut out for it, when literally the only piece that's missing is consistent action. And I really tried, when I was like thinking about doing this call, like what like really abstract or like powerful or meaningful things can I talk about? Like, what has been the game changer in my own business? A reason why I feel like I've been able to be really consistent, why I've not been one of those people that's had to do the stick shift car thing, that's had to recover from that, because I know how hard that is, hearing from other people. And I literally think this is it. Like, I wanted it to be more, like, I wanted it to not be so simple, but literally I think this is it. And I feel like people who have experienced that can probably attest to it. If you've had those like stick shift car business experiences, I bet that those people would tell you that like their Success Club has also been kind of that of a stick shift car. And the people who haven't experienced that have probably focused on, have probably successfully been really consistent with that, because it's not about Success Club. It's about, are you doing the things on a regular basis that make this business work? And if you are, you reap those benefits, right? Like your people come into your business and you're able to fulfill your like mission here and the things that you want, and you make the friendships and you learn the lessons and you change the lives and you do all those things. But if you're sporadic about it, if you're not consistent with it, you're not giving yourself the chance to reap the benefits of this, and you throw in the towel before you're ready. Because the other thing that happens is, and I see this all the time too, is we think about doing something a lot. How many times have you had a to-do list for coaching, a certain number of invites that you were going to do, a certain amount of follows that you were going to do, follow-ups you were going to do? You have this to-do list, and it's on your to-do list for like a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, because we keep thinking about it. We haven't actually done it. And so then 2 weeks go by, we feel like we've been working, but what have you actually crossed off your to-do list, right? Like, we think about doing something for so long that we feel like we've actually done it, but we haven't. And so this thing happens with newer coaches or coaches who are trying to figure out this whole consistency game, where they've been thinking about it. If you're in this business at all, it's in your mind, right? Like, you're thinking about the things that you need to do. You see it, you see the team call reminders, and you see the shout outs in the team page, and you know what you're supposed to be doing, but instead of doing it, you're just thinking about how you need to do it. And when there's no external deadline that's forcing you to actually take action, you can be thinking about doing what's on your to-do list for 3 months, right? And then you look back and say, I've been doing this for so long, but nothing happened. It didn't work, right? I didn't hit any of my goals. I've never hit Success Club. I still haven't started my challenge group. I still haven't signed up any coaches, and I've been doing it for X amount of months now, or however long, but you haven't actually been doing it. You were just thinking about doing it, right? Like those are two different things. But if we don't have something that's outside of ourselves, that forces us to show up and break that cycle, like what day is it? It's the 18th, and you're not in Success Club. Like if this is something that's important to you, if this is truly a non-negotiable, you could have been thinking about it for the last 18 days. Well, you're going to wake up and be like, crap, it's time to get my butt in gear. And you send 10 invites, and if all 10 of those people say no, or 10 of those people don't respond, you're going to, you're going to send 10 more. You're going to figure it out. It just takes it outside of you. Well, no, it's always you, but it takes it outside of your own, excuses kind of, and it takes it outside of your own ability to push things off and keep pushing the deadline and procrastinate, because that deadline's coming whether you want it to or not. And so I want to give some advice for new coaches and tenured coaches to kind of wrap this up, and then I'm happy to take questions. But I just want to remind you guys, it's not about this random, it's not about this random milestone that Beachbody gives us. It's not about anything that's trendy or anything that is bragging rights. It's not about that. It's about this is the benchmark that we have that indicates whether or not we're doing the things that we need to do to push this business forward. And the thing that I see a lot is I feel like people, it's oh, well, I don't have really big goals for this, or I don't know what I want this to be yet, so I don't need to do that. And it's if you want to be here at all, you do need to do that, because this is how you get whatever your goal is, wherever it is on the spectrum. This is how that happens, right? It's being consistent with showing up for you, with talking about showing up for you, and with inviting other people to show up for themselves. And when you do those things, if you're doing them well, this thing happens, and that builds the confidence. It builds the momentum over time. That's what keeps this business going. And that's how you get to still be here, being successful, feeling like this is something that you're successful at, that is a business that still makes sense for you, however long down the line that you still want to be here. Because you can't this isn't a passive business. We can't just sit and wait for we can't wait to be in the mood. We can't wait for people to come and say all the right things to us. We have to be consistently doing those things that create the momentum that carry us through however long we're supposed to be here. So now for tips for either newer coaches or tenured coaches who are trying to recover from a comeback. So if you're a newer coach, I've probably said this 57,000 times already, but jump in right now. Literally, if this is your first or second month, hit Success Club. This month, you will get an email from Beachbody that says, do this 2 more times. You're going to get a free ticket to Summit. It's a really tangible thing that is not, it's outside of a willy-nilly goal that you can set for yourself. Hit Success Club, start that process now, start that momentum now. And if you are a new coach and you're saying that you don't have a warm market, or there's nobody that you can talk to, or it's really, really hard, it should not be. If you are excited about this and you're passionate about this and you're sharing about this and you're talking to people when you are a new coach, that is literally the magic sauce, and you will be able to do it. And if you think you can't do it, you can. I'm telling you, you can. Those are the ingredients, and start now. You get that win at month 1, you get that win at month 3, and then you start turning your sights to Success Club All-Star, not because that title gives you any more worth, but because that's something tangible that you can hold on to that's going to keep you showing up for the next 9 months. Literally start now. And if you're not in month 1 or month 2, you still start now. If you have not really started this business, you still have that amazing sweet spot, regardless of whether or not you get a free ticket to Summit, of really announcing you're a coach on social media. Have you done that? Have you done that with heart? Have you shared why this is important to you? Have you shared your excitement? Are you talking about it with people? Have you talked to your warm market? Have you taken advantage of those things? Because the start is the scariest part, but it is not the hardest part. Honestly, you have these things, use them, because you absolutely have everything you need to start off with a bang. Every single one of us that's here did it. Everybody knows somebody. You know more people than you think. Stop telling yourself that your coworker or your boyfriend's sister or your cousin or your mom's friend or whoever would never want to do this. There are people in your warm market that need you. Give yourself the gift of starting this thing off with a bang, of building that confidence, of using the resources that are literally right in front of you that will get you set up on a path to success right now in the beginning, whether or not you've been a discount coach for 2 years or you just signed up 4 days ago. That is the secret sauce to the beginning, and creating momentum and giving yourself those wins and putting yourself on a path that's going to serve you and help you build that consistency down the line. So if you're not a new coach, if you have either kind of dipped your toe in here and there, or maybe you were super consistent and then you weren't, or you've done the whole stick shift car thing, there is obviously still hope, but it starts with drawing a line in the sand. And I think this one's harder, especially if you're a coach who's had a history of like a Success Club streak before, or you've been really consistent. You felt like you had, you felt like you were successful before, and now you feel like you've totally backslid. It starts with a hard deadline and drawing a line in the sand, and saying like, I am hitting Success Club this month. And it's the 18th. You can absolutely hit Success Club this month. But if you don't hit Success Club this month, not throwing in the towel for next month, because that is how you get in that pattern of saying, I'm going to do it, but I didn't. So it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to throw in the towel for next month already. No, you draw a line in the sand. You are hitting Success Club. What is the reward that you're going to give yourself the first month that you hit Success Club again? This is where this is where self-awareness comes in. What are you motivated by? What do you need? Do you need an accountability buddy? Do you need to plan a happy hour or a date night when it's done? Do you need to give yourself a gift? Do you need to plan a shopping spree? What is your 1 month, I am coming back in the game, no matter what it takes? What is that thing that you're going to celebrate with, that gift you're going to give yourself, that reward for hitting it? I would say do one at month 1, do one at month 3, do something at month 6. This can be small. It doesn't have to be huge, but like you need those wins and benchmarks along the way. And then once you're 6 months in and you're looking towards, you're more than halfway done with your Success Club All-Star streak, you're going to start to feel that fire that you once felt when you were in that place before and you had something that you didn't want to lose. And again, like it's not about an accolade. It's not about a title. It's about putting it outside of ourselves, because the reality is life happens and we're not always going to want to be consistent with this. And so we just have to put it outside of ourselves and outside of our ability to procrastinate on it, outside of our ability to kick it down the line, and outside of our ability to just not do the work. Because at the end of the day, if you are putting in the work, this is a business where you see that. If you're putting in the work, you see the results. And if you're not putting in the work, you don't see the results. And if you are putting in the work and you feel like you're not seeing the results, that's where you get the opportunity from consistency to actually say, I'm doing the work and something's wrong. So then we get to pop the hood and say, okay, what might be going on here? Then you get to problem solve it and course correct moving forward. And all of this just makes it a lot more joyful to be here. You feel a lot more successful. It's a lot more fun, because at the end of the day, we are human, and it's not fun to be in something that we don't feel like we're succeeding at, where we feel like we're failing, or we feel like it's constantly a letdown. That is not going to foster any kind of desire to stay here. And we want you to stay here, because no, this isn't for everyone forever, but it is for a lot of people for at least a short amount of time. And there's lives that you can change, and there's friendships that you can make, and there's lessons that you can learn, and there is impact that you can make, and there's all these incredible things. But none of that happens if we can't figure out a way to be consistent with those 3 things that it takes to make this work and push this business forward. And that's just what I want to hammer in, because there are not enough of us on this team who are consistently hitting Success Club. And it's silly, because I know there's a lot of huge-hearted freaking babes on this team. And we should all just be showing up more consistently, and it shouldn't be something that is just for a certain group of, like a small group of people. Like, we're all capable. We're all here. You're on this call. You're dedicating time to this. You want to build this business. You have goals here. You're here for a reason. And it's about those 3 things. If you're doing them consistently, you will see the fruits of that. That will help you stay here and reach the goals and hit the milestones and like accomplish the things that you want to accomplish while you're here. But it starts with like it starts with holding yourself to a different standard, and putting yourself in a position where you're going to be able to show up even when you don't want to. And for me, that was something that was not like mindset based. There's a lot of mindset tips and tricks about showing up when you don't want to and things you can tell yourself and rewards and stuff. But sometimes we just need something really tangible and really simple. And that's honestly not the call I ever thought that I was going to do, because I'm a mindset person and I'm a rah person, but like analyzing what has been something that has helped me be consistent in my own business and still be here. It's literally, it's that simple, and there's not enough of us that are doing it, but everybody's capable to do it. And so I just want to hammer that in right now. If you're here for a reason. You deserve to show up consistently in this business, because that is how you get what you want to get out of it. And that's how you're able to give back all the things you want to give back out of it. So honestly, that was like weird, totally weird, really different call than I've ever done before. But that's just what I felt like, message that people might need to hear, because I just don't think there's enough of it happening, but we're also capable. So does anyone have any questions?
Oh, girl, that was fire sauce and a half. I mean, just like mics dropping all over the place. Everyone's just in the chat. Like, there wasn't any questions in the chat, but everyone was like, yes, preach. Oh my gosh, yes, love this. So thank you so much. I personally have one question for you, but I'll see if you guys have questions, definitely drop them in the chat. What I would love, so knowing how I'm feeling right now, like, yeah, that was so freaking good. If there's a girl in this call that's like, Cassie, thank you for all of that. Like, I'm ready to like draw the line in the sand. I'm hitting Success Club this month. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Like, where do I start? What do I do now? What would you say as a girl that works full time? What are some of your priorities, the things that you definitely do every single day? And kind of what does your day structure tend to look like? How do you have this much consistency with a busy full-time schedule?
Yeah. So I didn't touch on my schedule at all, because I've done that call before. I'm going to answer this question, but for that person, I literally did a call all about how I logistically do this business while I work a full-time job. So I would say watch that call if that's a struggle. So I would honestly say, like, it goes back to those 3 buckets. If you're like, I don't know where to start, ask the question, are you doing it yourself, and are you talking about it? Because even before you're inviting other people to do it, you have to be having those things. Otherwise, when you talk to somebody, they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Who are you? What do you mean you're a coach or whatever? So literally, that's the number one thing. And you can feel like, oh, I don't know when I'm going to start my next program. I don't know when you can literally start tomorrow. What workout are you going to do tomorrow? And what post are you going to do about it tomorrow? And if you are trying to like kickstart something and it's been a minute, I would say make your post a powerful one. You don't just post a sweaty selfie about how you rocked it and how you feel really good because of endorphins. Share a before and after picture. Talk about the moment that you realized you needed to make a change in your health and fitness journey. Talk about why this matters to you. Talk about why you're passionate about it. Talk about something that's going to give people that gut punch that says like, oh my gosh, me too. I felt that too. I want what she has. Show up for yourself tomorrow and talk about how this has changed your life tomorrow. People are going to like that post and message those people.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. It's so true. It's like when you post something about coaching or fitness or whatever, whoever likes it, that's like a perfect list of people just to go reach out to. So I love that advice. And yeah, just starting. We start tomorrow. Nicole asked in the chat that she gets a lot of customers, but not coaches because they don't want to pay the monthly coach fee. I feel like we've talked about like the coach fee and stuff before, but kind of with your saucy personality, how do you talk to people that have pushed back on the coach fee, or how do you invite coaches versus customers? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So honestly, the strategy changes based on what my goals are in that moment. So we need customers and we need coaches. If it's somebody that I really am vibing with, that I'm like, I legit am just obsessed with you, I offer them the coach option because I'm like, well, I love this community. So I like you. I'm pretty sure you'll love this community too. I mean, their scripts, I use one that's very similar to things that are posted. So just give them the 2 options. It's the same straight off the bat. They're either going to say yes or no. If they sign up as a customer and they're continuing to drink Shakeology and continuing to be in the groups and all that stuff, I literally just tell them like, hey, there's an option. I call it upgrading your membership. I mentioned the coach fee. I say it's kind of like Amazon Prime where you pay for it, but if you actually use it, it's more than worth it. And so I say it's $15 a month, but the savings to Shakeology alone is more than double that. So it just saves money. Totally your call, but I feel like a terrible person if I don't tell you because I'm a bargain hunter and I don't like paying money for things. So that's literally what I say. And I have customers who order every freaking month and they're like, I don't want to be a coach. It just feels weird to me. And I'm like, all right, well, I make more money that way. I just wanted to let you know because I feel bad not telling you. And then it's up to them. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I do too. It's like I explain to them they're saving money regardless, but if they don't do it now, they can do it later, or they can cancel later, just whatever they want to do. And Nicole, to even add to that, you know, just a lot of people aren't going to want to do it. So just keep inviting more people. Like Cassie was saying, you're just going to do what you got to do if you're pushing for a rank or Success Club or whatever that looks like. If anyone has any other questions, I have one more final one. I'm going to steal this one from Keisha. Obviously, the theme of this call is consistency, but as we know, we don't always feel like doing it. So in Keisha's world, what if you're feeling funky or you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to do it or I don't feel like it? What do you do to pump yourself up and get yourself in the mood?
Literally a dance party. Anybody who knows me probably knew that was coming. If I'm just like really not feeling it in the mood, I either bounce on my trampoline, or if I know I need like to hammer out some work at lunch sometimes I take a lunch from work and I go and like send voice messages from my car in the parking lot. I'll literally turn on like a throwback, like Gasolina or something crazy, and I blast it. I turn the volume all the way up and I have a dance party. And another thing that has worked really well for me is when I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I know I've been like, oh, it's been like a rough week and I haven't really worked a ton, but I know like I need to get my butt in gear because I always have to hit Success Club. It really helps me to make a list of names ahead of time. And then once I'm actually inviting, I'm just crossing off. It puts my brain in a different spot. I go through my Instagram stories, people who like my stuff. There's a lot of different techniques and all the different pages about how to find people to invite. And I will write down a list of however many I'm going to do. Once it's on paper and I'm in a zone of like, I'm pumped, I just had a dance party, I'm really excited. It's honestly shockingly easy to just send 15 voice messages because you're just crossing it off the list. It puts your brain in a different spot. If you can separate the task of like finding people versus inviting them, that works really well for me because it takes myself out of my brain and I'm like, I'm just crossing off a list. But it's fun and exciting because I'm pumped up and I'm like, I like this girl and I think she's going to like this too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I totally do the list thing too, because just like the whole consistency thing, once you get one invite out, you can do a second, a third, a fourth, and you can just like power through that list. And 15 invites can be done in 15 minutes. So love that advice. Also, I will say to all of you guys, Cassie does a really great job of showing her entire day, like on Instagram stories and stuff. So she's showing when she's working, she's showing how she invites, like you invite on your lunch break from your car. So if you want like more on that too, just follow her on Instagram because she's hilarious and just gives a bunch of good stuff there too whenever you're working the business. So I love that. What is your favorite personal development or book or podcast?
Obviously the Empower Her podcast, if we're talking about podcasts. Honestly, it's really hard because I have a lot of books that I love, but they're just like great for different things. So Power of Vulnerability, anything by Brene Brown, like really changed my life and helped from like a confidence. Like if you feel like you've got like some like inner work like that you need to do, I really love Brene Brown. Books that really help me just like get out of my own way and take action. I don't know if there's babies, so I'm not going to say the word, but Unfreak Yourself, except it's not freak, by Gary John Bishop, whoever, look it up. I mean, there's literally one book that's called that, I think, so you'll find it. And then a Mel Robbins one, I want to say Get Out of Your Own Damn Way, but that's not it. It was the first like Audible special she did. Let me find it. Those two together, I listened to them in one like month and I was like, I'm just ready to do all the things. I'm so sick of being my own barrier. Like, let's just do this. It was Mother. Okay. It's Mel Robbins. It's the Audible special.
All things Mel Robbins is gold. So
and then the 5-second rule. Yeah, literally. Yeah. Those.
Oh, I love that. Yay. Thank you. Such a good call. Such good answers and suggestions. And just like, I know that was a lot of rapid fire Q&A at the end there. So is there anything else you want to add or end with? Or anyone have any final questions?
I already said this, but just if you actually have questions about like actually like scheduling wise, doing this when I work a full-time job, I've done a whole call on this. So if you were thinking I was going to touch on that, I didn't because I already have before. So go watch that. And yeah, go freaking hit Success Club, guys.
No reinventing the wheel here. We're working smarter, not harder. You can go watch that call for sure. It's a lot of great stuff there too. But thank you so much, Cassie. So appreciate this. And thank you guys all for being on live. We'll get the recording up soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.